Yeah, definitely. Oh wait, Psychopaths here. Train's there, the 703, look at this here. Look at it. As soon as I exit, you can see that 20519, right as I leave work again. You can see she was covering her face too, the creep stalker there, right in front of me as soon as I exit. Special constable again, right as I exit. Continued criminal stalking from those weirdos. Haven't uploaded a video in a while. I think it's time to do that. Set up today.
Morning, Mr. Johnson.
Morning.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Not too bad. 12 today?
Yes.
And here you will see I have just left work literally seconds ago, and right as I come to cross the street, who drives up in front of me but a stalking Ottawa special constable. Obviously this is purposeful, and they have them waiting there right for the moment when I'm leaving work. You see how they do these things so consistently all the time, and continued psychological harassment and intimidation by these deranged criminals who are doing this on behalf of CSIS, but also due to the fact that I have posted videos continually documenting their criminal stalking and harassment. So due to the fact that they have no integrity and they're never going to come out and admit that there's any wrongdoing on their part, they're just going to continue to criminally harass and stalk more and more, due to the fact that they have been told that they can do these things with impunity. It doesn't matter to these psychopaths that what they're doing is completely wrong, immoral, unjustifiable. I'm a law-abiding citizen with no criminal record. I have a right to go to my job on a daily basis without being harassed by these creepy weirdos. But again, these are deranged, sick people, and they don't like the fact that I've consistently exposed their criminal harassment activities. And so that's why they continue to do these things, continued psychological abuse. Again, showing up at the exact moment in front of somebody when they leave their workplace is clear and intentional stalking, harassment, and intimidation. And so these are the Ottawa Special Constables continuing to do these things. And I will continue to do these things. I will continue to document these activities every single time they do them. And I'm going to also expose a lot of the people who are involved in these things as well in some of the future videos, because for some of them it's not too hard to find out some information on these folks. So the way they justify these things is they use a mob mentality. They believe in swarming, harassing, and mobbing one person who has been completely isolated because they're dishonorable, dishonest people with no integrity, who enjoy abusing, harassing, and participating in these type of psychological harassment campaigns. And they do this to other people too, not just me. The thing is, most of these other people don't speak out about it, and they should. But at any rate, you're going to see continued documentation of the criminal harassment of these deranged psychopaths, and these people who know fully well what they're doing, that they're harassing and stalking a law-abiding citizen who is a hard-working individual who does not participate in any type of criminal activities whatsoever. So that means that there is something severely wrong with these people, and it's not a case of them having been lied to about this either. They know exactly what they're doing. You'd have to be really stupid not to know that what you're doing amounts to criminal harassment if you are partaking in these types of things. So you've seen how long this has been going on for. And you can see how they continue to intentionally do these things to harass me and attempt to provoke try to provoke some type of negative reaction as I'm leaving my workplace. So I'll continue to put the faces of the people out there who are participating in this criminal abuse and harassment. And also I'm going to start talking about some of the people who enable these things more extensively in future videos.
soon as I exit, you can see that 20519. Right as I leave work again. You can see she was covering her face too, the creep stalker there. Right in front of me as soon as I exit.
And here I have just left work on November 13th, 2024. The time is approximately 8:12 a.m. And as you can see, I'm taking a different route upon leaving work here. I've gone around a longer way to go over to where I would get the train, to intentionally avoid these situations where these creepy stalking constables show up to stalk and intimidate the moment I leave work. So I went around the longer route, and you'll see I'm entering from an area where they won't be able to drive up and synchronize. They could drive alongside me if they drove around the opposite way, which is what they probably will start doing if I go this way regularly, and I'll document that as well just to show you more evidence that it's purposeful, intentional criminal harassment and stalking as I leave work. But again, I'm intentionally taking this route, going a longer route, to see if they're going to continue to show up and do those things. And as expected, they do. But on this occasion, they waited until I got to the station, got off the train, and as soon as I stepped outside of the next train station where I was getting off to go and get the bus, the constables are, of course, right across the street. And they've set up another one of their silly acting skits where they bring in a community-based agent to set up a fake disturbance so that they can show up and stand there and pretend to be intervening. It's just laughably contrived. And you'll have seen them doing this in many previous videos that I've posted as well. So you'll see how this situation is also set up. Even when I go a different route to come home from work, these creepy weirdos are still showing up right in front of me to stalk and intimidate, and they're even setting up these silly little skits to justify their being there. So this is what they do. They don't actually do legitimate work, and much of their time is actually occupied by doing these things to criminally stalk and harass me, when they could actually be doing things that are productive. But they don't do things that are productive, as you will have reached that conclusion probably if you've seen how consistently they put, how much time and effort they put into these ridiculous things that they do to criminally stalk me here. So you'll see I'm going a different route, and I get on the train, and then right as I get off the train at a different station, you saw how the stalking constable showed up the moment I left work the previous day, and then right when I come out from the train station at a different location, they're there again, right up in front of me. So you'll see that here momentarily.
Just gonna go do a walk by and just get a glimpse of this two cretins over there. They're standing there. They got like a crowd out here. It was all set up so that when I came out I would see it. It's just a silly skit. I can show you at least a dozen other times when these characters have done the exact same thing. And it's always timed for right when I arrive or right when I leave somewhere. So cross here really quickly, take a glimpse here.
And as I approach here, you can see I've just come out of the train station, having taken an alternate route from work to avoid them showing up to synchronize whenever I leave. And I take an alternate route and come out at a different train station at a different location, and who just happens to be right across the street. Yeah, you guessed it, the Ottawa Special Constables. And they've set up another one of their silly stage play acting skits where they bring in a community-based agent to create a fake disturbance, and then these heroes come in to save the day and deal with the situation. If you've watched my previous videos, you've seen how many times these people have done this same thing. And it's interesting to note that the male constable who's there dealing with this stage play, this fake scenario, this street theater skit, is the same individual who a few months back also showed up as soon as I came through the doors of the lower area of another train station. He and another constable immediately show up to remove another vagrant who just happened to be causing a disturbance right in front of me the moment I arrived. So what do you think the chances are of that happening that many times? And also, they've done these same things at least over a dozen times in my videos. I have them staging these scenarios. As you've seen in the previous videos, there are also scenarios where they'll have the people involved in staging these skits look directly at me and make that hand sign across the chest, holding their hand across the chest, looking directly at me so that I'll know it's directed at me and that the whole thing is fake and staged, nothing more than theater. So you'll see the same male stalking constable here who took part in that other stage play, and on that other occasion, after they supposedly removed that vagrant who was just an agent who had been sent in to cause a disturbance to justify their being there, as I passed by them and got on the elevator, going upstairs, I got off in the wrong area, and then I got back on the elevator, and as soon as I get back on, of course, because the whole situation was fake and they weren't actually dealing with any real legitimate situation, the same stalking constable who you'll see here, the male, is just standing right in front of the elevator aggressively as soon as I come off the elevator. And he comes right on, right in front of me. Obviously, the whole thing was set up to intentionally harass and intimidate. So you'll see him again here, the same individual in this little street theater skit that they've set up.
I want to get a glimpse of the two cretins here. Embarrassing, just acting. Watch, they'll look over to him. And camouflage too, of course. Right in front of the CPC too. Right in front of the CDC buildings where they set it up too. How appropriate. Just another act. This guy can't even drive, can't even back out. Let's just see the two of them. Let's get a glimpse on this side here. Sitting both here. Yeah. So they had to stop traffic for this nonsense here. And this was where it came out, Parliament right there, and you can see where they got the skit set up here. Notice the one guy kind of smirking, the black guy constable there. Notice his facial expression. And notice that this guy's wearing military camouflage attire. Look at how long it's taking too. Yeah, they send these people in to cause disturbances so they can justify these ridiculous skits. So just another actor who works for the state, this guy here, agent provocateur. Okay, I think you can turn in now. Let me take a look at this creep again. I want to get their faces for the thumbnail too. See if I can get a shot from back here. Get a shot. Look at what's right here too. See that? See that? Notice whenever they set these things up too, they also have lookout people, like I said before. So you'll see this guy here. Notice the guy to the right, okay? Notice where he's positioned. These are CSIS lookout people who they have. So if you say anything about it or whatever, have any interaction with them. These are the people who like mob you, swarm you, whatever. Like this guy right here, you can see. Notice he's kind of looking over at me when his attention should be focused on what's going on right there. So notice where he is here, right? That's this guy here. He's a lookout guy. So they have to have 3 people, 3 transit personnel, 2 constables, 2 constable vehicles for one guy who supposedly is just making noise and causing a disturbance. You can see this act ridiculous. I just wanted to get my footage more camouflaged there, and you can see the agent provocateur was also wearing camouflage, but now he's changed his pants. So I got that there. Let's go down here. Let's get another film. So I got good footage of them anyway. So there we go. It's the street theater skit for today. Yeah, they had him wearing that military camouflage attire too, which is symbolic of the state. It's these, you know, if somebody's wearing that, they're pretty much one of these people who the state controls like slaves. And they don't even get to put on the clothing that they want to put on. They have to put on clothing that they're told to wear, like slaves. So you saw that guy there, the agent provocateur, had camouflage on, as did that other guy coming by there. And when they set up a fake little skit like that, like I said, they set up, they have a bunch of people there as well, so that if the person who it's, you know, they're targeting says anything or whatever, they'll kind of surround you and swarm you. Same thing I showed with the police, where they had that guy and a bunch, you know, like a bunch of agents right in place, so that if anything is said, those people will just surround you and swarm you. So RCMP here, it looks like. Yeah, RCMP turns out just as I get. Come out here, you can see it here. Obviously intentional there. 249, or 249, stalking RCMP there. So, see that there. 249, or 249, stalking RCMP there. Stalking RCMP there. So, see that there. And get the drug trafficking police there this morning. Those people are just as deranged and psychotic. The RCMP. They enable child trafficking rings. Also involved in the distribution of narcotics and ensuring that flows freely so the criminals can operate to do that. Protecting child abusers. Setting up staging fake events alongside the media to lie to certain segments of the population. Planting narcotics to frame people and create false arrests. They're also involved in that. There's pretty much anything you can think of that's evil and wrong. These corrupt psychopaths are involved in it with the RCMP just as much as the drug trafficking, crime enabling, stalking police are. So that's stalking from the constables at 3 separate locations on 3 consecutive days, and the RCMP showing up to threaten and intimidate me as I come home from my job today. They traffic narcotics. They're involved in also in child trafficking, protecting people who are involved in that, human trafficking, the exploitation of the homeless. They also take part in that, and pretty much anything devious and evil, they take part in it. So this is where I will be catching my bus up here. Let's see if we get any more activity up here. Quite a bit this morning from the deranged criminal, psychopath, pedophile RCMP, because that's what they are. They enable that type of thing too. And of course they're members of lodges of people who sell their own children into you know, child abuse rackets and whatnot. because of the wonderful teachings of the Kabbalah. And maybe you should start asking why. If you're actually against the promulgation of all this stuff with child abuse, which is changing a child's gender, maybe you should start asking why all these people, these protests, aren't talking about what the cause of that is. Because the cause of it is the promulgation of the teachings of the Kabbalah, which these same psychopath police officers endorse by wearing those red string bracelets and attending lodges where this type of insane, deranged nonsense is freely endorsed and promoted. But they have to promote it in a way that is subtle and through deceit and manipulation. They can't come out and say what it actually is, because if a lot of people knew what it actually was, they'd be disgusted. So they have to use deceit and manipulation to promulgate the wonderful ideologies of the Kabbalah. And so they do it through programming in films and in their mind control TV shows. And that is the same way they're normalizing the Baphomet by, saying people are with that acronym, the greatest of all time, the GOAT. It's really just about normalizing the Baphomet, the GOAT. That's why they are saying that all the time. So they do it through just programming people that way by manipulating the culture and having their the psychopaths who they put out to do that, just repeating those things over and over again, just to normalize it, so that it starts to become normal to people. And they're hoping that you'll start repeating it, and it'll just become part of the regular vocabulary, stuff like that. So yeah, the wonderful teachings of the Kabbalah. They won't tell you that's what it is, these fake protesters who they send out. That's because they work for the state. And almost all the protests against that are fake, and they're controlled opposition people.
Here I have just left work on November 14th, 2024, and again I've taken an alternate route, taking a longer route when leaving work to go around cutting across this field, because these creepy stalkers would continually drive up sometimes directly in front of my workplace as soon as I leave, and then drive up in front of me the moment I get to the street to cross, constantly over and over again. So I'm taking an alternate route, but you'll see they still send one of these stalkers immediately to drive directly out in front of me to stalk, harass, and intimidate. And you'll see, it's interesting to note that if you look closely, you'll see that the car is simply parked there waiting. And it's obvious that he's waiting to receive a notification on his phone that I'm coming. And then as soon as I come through, he pulls out directly in front of me, as per the instructions of his handlers, and completing his synchronization for the stalking and harassment. So you'll see I'm going in all different areas, taking different routes to leave work, and the criminal stalking Ottawa constables are still showing up to stalk, harass, and intimidate, regardless of which direction I go and which area I'm in. So you'll see that here.
I'm carrying my phone with me today too, so they can, right there. Oh, check it out, check it out. What did I say? So today, same thing, stalking constables there. I come a different direction, they still drive out right in front of me there, you can see that. going around the total opposite way, and he pulls out right in front of me there this morning. So 3 consecutive days, at different locations where these creeps are showing up as I leave work. So I go an alternate route, they still drive out right in front of me. And yesterday, as soon as I come through the doors, they've set up a fake acting skit. So you can see that creep was waiting down there, down the other street there, just parked there waiting. And then as soon as I got to the street there, he drives out in front of me. So you can see they're going out of their way to make efforts to do that intentionally. Anyone could see that.
Here I'm just coming out of a store at around 9:30 p.m. on the night of November 14th, 2024. And you'll see just shortly after I come outside, again, this is a different location. So this is 4 separate locations in the past 3 days. You'll see the Stalking criminal Ottawa special constables again driving by on an otherwise completely quiet street to harass, stalk, and intimidate. Just as shortly after I step out of the store here, and you'll see that the second time that day. So in the morning, as I was leaving work at a completely different location, they virtually followed me as I was leaving work, waiting for me to come up to the street. And then as I come out to the street in a completely different area of Ottawa with hardly any other traffic around, the criminal stalking constables again arrive at my precise location to stalk and intimidate.
QR code on the front of the door of the store there. Be quiet here as usual in this area. A lot of dog walkers in that condo there. Just parked there. Wonder how many of those people get free accommodation in there. Or some sort of discount on accommodations. I think it'd be a fairly accurate assessment to say that there's probably a large number of them. All white vehicles. This police car? Police right here. No, constable right here. Look at this constable. Special constable driving out in a different area here. You can see right there in front of me. And look at the area here. So continuing to criminally stalk as soon as I come out. I have my phone with me tonight here. You can see that there. Special constable there. So 4 consecutive days and nighttime in 4 different locations. You're seeing the stalking criminal Ottawa constables showing up wherever I go to stalk, harass, and intimidate. Again, right there. Very clear. I just came out of that store there. You can see this is a completely different area. You can see that was intentional there too, because look at how quiet everything is here. So continued criminal harassment and stalking by these psychopaths. And I'll finish that video tonight with them.
Here we're just going to take a look at some of the criminal psychopaths who take part in this community mobbing and organized harassment and stalking campaign against me regularly. And this individual here is Constable Alex Gallipo, and this abusive criminal psychopath was in a previous situation told to sit in his vehicle just across from near where I was working as I came out of the train station. And seeing him there, I went over to try to get footage to get him on camera because it was kind of dark. And I do like to try to document the criminals who are taking part in these activities. So you can see this psychopath in one of my previous videos. And when I did that, he made an excuse to call his superior, have her come in, start shouting me down, talking over me, not allowing me to talk, and then making up a bunch of lies, saying that they had previously trespassed me when they never had, because I've documented every single interaction with these deranged criminals in the past, because I know that literally everything that they say is a lie. They're compulsive liars and sociopaths, so they lie about literally everything, and now they have to stoop to writing false reports and making up lies to try and affect my ability to even use public transit, trying to say that they've trespassed me. So none of that ever happened before, and I have all of that documented. But criminal Gallipo and this deranged nutcase who he called to surround me and shout at me, they claimed that they had, because of a video that I had up where I went to speak to one of the constables. She told me to wait on the other side of the platform. I did so. Because I wanted her ID number, because she had driven up right in front of my workplace at the exact moment I was leaving, and because at that point they had been doing these same things for over a year and a half. So when I went to simply request that information, she then called her superior, who I will show in one of the next pictures, this individual named Frankenstein Flint, who is her superior. And Frankenstein Flint is one of the criminals who directs a lot of these harassment activities while not getting his hands dirty and staying on the sidelines like most dishonorable criminal Freemasons do. So Alex Gallipo here is one of the criminal stalkers who has been regularly taking part in this abuse and criminal harassment, following me as I go to my workplace, as I leave my job, setting up fake scenarios to park next to where I'm working, continually stalking me at different locations. So that's this psychopath here. We'll move on to the next one. And the criminal psychopath in this picture here is another one of the stalking Ottawa constables who has been continually showing up to stalk, harass, and intimidate me in various different areas. You can see the look on his face. That is a creepy look. And this guy's just a really creepy guy in general. On this occasion, I had been just sitting in front of the station. I had just come out of the station. He drives up just in front of me, having already passed. So he drove by one way, came back again to where I was because I was just sitting there outside for a few minutes, stops directly next to me and says I was looking at him. So he stops the car because I was looking at him. I guess looking at him is a crime. And you can see the weird, deranged, psychotic look on his face. I honestly think that some of these people might actually be on some type of narcotics while they're on the job. If you think that's far-fetched, you got to know that there are a lot of police officers who do indulge in those things even while they're on the job. That's how messed up things are in this country, and that's how these psychopath criminal Freemasons in these public service positions are basically allowed to do these things. They're allowed to park on lawns. They're allowed to neglect their jobs. They completely ignore the laws that they're supposed to uphold. They do the exact opposite of everything you're told that they do. So on this occasion, this nutcase drives up next to me, stops his car, and looks at me in this weird way and says he stopped because I was looking at him. And I had looked over to capture footage because I had my camera glasses on, and that's how I record these criminal stalkers and put them online. So he knew that. He knew I was recording, and so you can see the look in his face, just a creepy, deranged weirdo. And then what happened was he went in to park in the across from the train station and sit and do nothing, as they usually do. Just park in a vehicle and sit there for like an hour or two, staring at their phones and doing nothing, getting paid to do nothing. So while he did that, while he went in there, I went back through the station because I already had or I think I bought another ticket and went back through just to film and show that he was literally going to be paid to sit there and do nothing. And he had been told to be there the entire time I was there until I leave the area and go to work, which was what I had intended to do before this creepy, deranged nutcase showed up. So then as I was entering the station, you'll see in the video that a guy who's coming in next to me literally pushes through the turnstile, almost breaks the plastic casing of the turnstile, the entrance, and trespassed without paying the fare. So he walks right in, almost breaks part of the turnstile off, and trespasses on the property. And there are cameras all over in those stations. I know that because they use these cameras to let these psychopaths know when I'm entering and exiting, so that they can show up on cue. So that they can show up on cue immediately wherever I go. And yet when it comes to doing real work, this guy just sits in his car doing nothing while someone's trespassing on the property and vandalizing the property of the train station, that area where he's supposed to be doing his job, and that is something that he's supposed to deal with. Instead, he didn't do anything. He just sat in his car while the guy trespassed and vandalized the property. And you can clearly see that in my other video. He just sits there in his car getting paid to do nothing, having been told to come there and stalk because I was in the area. As you can see, these people constantly do that. So these are the types of people that they have in these positions. They don't do any of the work that they want you to believe they do. They're criminals, they're deranged psychopaths, and all you have to do is take a look at that look on that guy's face, and you can pretty much, that says it all right there. So moving along to the next criminal psychopath. And this next individual here is Sergeant Flint with the Ottawa Special Constables. And Sergeant Flint is one of the criminal psychopaths who coordinates these operations from behind the scenes and gives the criminal stalkers instructions and provokes them and tells them to do these things and tells them that they're doing a good thing by showing up everywhere I go, by harassing me and following me, driving up in front of my workplace, continually attempting to provoke altercations, spreading slander and lies and writing false reports to try and stop me from even being able to use public transit to get to my job. He is one of the people who endorses these activities and who tells these people to do these things. So it's important to recognize who the criminals are in these capacities also behind the scenes, because Frankenstein Flint doesn't like to get his hands dirty and actually partake in the operations himself. He just likes to tell others to do these things because he knows I record everything. And on one occasion, I did actually get him on camera, and this was on an occasion when I was leaving work and one of the criminal stalkers from the Ottawa Special Constables drove right out as soon as I was leaving work, right in front of me. I then proceeded to the train station and went onto the side area to ask this person just to provide her information, either her name or an identification number. She refused to do so and told me to go back over and wait on the other side, and then she would come and talk to me. So I went over there and waited, and she drives over to the other side. As you can see, all of this in the video, what I'm saying is 100% accurate, as opposed to what these liars have said about this situation where they claimed I was trespassed. I wasn't trespassed at all. I complied and went over to the other side. And at that point, she drove around and said, "I'm calling my sergeant." And so I waited a few minutes, and this wonderful person here appeared and came up to me because she couldn't be bothered as a public servant to provide her identification. She refused to do that. And I told her the reason why I wanted her identification was because I was planning on compiling evidence for a lawsuit because of the, at that time, over a year and a half of continued criminal stalking and harassment from her and her fellow special constables, literally driving up in front of my workplace the moment I'm leaving, constantly doing things like that, showing up wherever I go to harass and intimidate. So because she's a dishonest person and didn't want to identify herself, she calls this sergeant. I then explained to him the situation, that I had simply asked for her identification or her name. And this individual, Frankenstein Flint, I don't know his first name, but I did find his last name online after doing a little bit of research. And his last name is Flint, Sergeant Flint with the Ottawa Special Constables. He then said she doesn't have to give the information. You can watch all of that in the video. And I told him why. I explained to him why, because I'm planning on filing a lawsuit against the city of Ottawa for this continued criminal harassment that he knew very well was going on. And as soon as I said that, he starts saying, "You're not making any sense," which was just something he was prompted to say, because they're prompted to be evasive and to lie whenever they're confronted about the truth and the facts about their criminal harassment and stalking activities. So that's this person here, Frankenstein Flint. I call him Frankenstein because of his uncanny resemblance to the Boris Karloff Frankenstein monster. I don't know his first name, but again, he is a criminal psychopath with no conscience who endorses and promotes community mobbing, harassment, criminal stalking of law-abiding citizens, and he is one of the ones working behind the scenes to condone and plan these harassment activities of me when I'm simply going to and from my job. So that's Frankenstein Flint, Sergeant Frankenstein Flint in the photo. I may talk about him more extensively in some future videos as well.